What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB First Look podcast. I'm your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And we're here to talk about Monday's massive slate. 12-game Monday. We normally have a shorter slate on Monday, which is nice to kind of break into the new week, but not this time. DraftKings said no. No. Well, DraftKings didn't say it. Baseball did. Major League Baseball said no. So, that's where we're at. We are going to start this thing off with cash games as we normally do. We've got Lucas Giolito at the top against the Detroit Tigers. Charlie Morton against Toronto is the second option. I'm fine with this. I think Morton does well. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's fairly safe. But comparing the two offenses, I think Toronto is like, I'm more afraid of Toronto right now than I am of Detroit. And that could be a mistake. Giolito is a big changeup dude, so got to look into that. But the problem is, Giolito's a guy that I only feel comfortable with if he has a decent umpire, because the walks are kind of sneaking back, and there's some warning signs like that have been coming with Giolito. You know, I pitched really well against the Mets, right? Like, that was nice. But yeah, I think Giolito's the guy. But there's some things I want to check into, and again, it's more of a play against Detroit rather than a play for Giolito over Morton. Morton does seem like the safer option, more proven option, but maybe not. Yankees and Boston both beat him up recently. That kind of, so I don't know. Giolito. As far as SP2, going down the list, I do not believe we have cores on the slate today, which is cool. Just to give us an idea of how much money we may have to dedicate to pitching. But there were a couple guys that stood out to me, both 7K guys. So Spencer Turnbull's supposed to be making his return from the IL. He had one start in AAA. He was supposed to make a second start in AAA, but instead he's going to be starting a major league start. So we'll have to look for a pitch count. He had like some sort of back injury. He only threw 3 2/3 innings in his rehab start. His one rehab start, he did strike out some, which was solid. But something to keep in mind, we're going to have to look for a pitch count. He would be my preference. Because as bad as Detroit's been, outside, the White Sox have been pretty damn bad too. Outside of today, they put up a lot of runs on Philly. But before that, they were just horrible. We saw a slew of pitchers that just constantly put up big scores, including Nola capped it off. And today, they finally got to somebody. I think it was Jason Vargas. What do you know? But Turnbull would be my preferred choice. Now, if he is like on some sort of pitch count we find out, I think the other guy I was looking at is Gonsolin. Not exactly a guy you consider safe, but, Arizona is a tough offense. Colorado was in Coors, very tough environment. This time it's St. Louis. He's another one that the pitch count's been a little funky on, like 77-49. So, well, I guess he wasn't supposed to pitch in that game. It looks like 7:30 4 days later. So maybe there's some sort of pitch count we have to look at here, but I would assume he's a starter. I mean, he is a starter. Like in AAA, he was a starter. He is stretched out. He can go. So he'd be my second choice against St. Louis, because St. Louis has just struggled offensively in general because they're banged up. Although they do get Ozuna back, so that's definitely a big plus for them, I'd say. From a tournament perspective, there are a lot of options, but a lot of these options come with a lot of risk. We've got Jeff Samardzija against Washington. Samardzija has been ridiculously good, and it's alarming, but Washington, like Philly's offenses, they kind of just suck, right? And the Nationals have been playing fairly well. So to pay 8-7, like, I like the savings, but Giolito and Morton seem so much safer. Castillo, Minor, and Hendricks are all in tough strikeout matchups. Soroka's got a really tough matchup against Minnesota. Tanaka's in Baltimore. I guess he'd be an option, but he's been super inconsistent this year, to say the least. Velasquez has Arizona, so it just those are the guys that just kind of I'm kind of rocking with the same dudes, you know. I think I'm still going with that pitching combination. Somewhere up top and around the 7K range. We'll go Turnbull for now. Just take pitching in that game. Hope there's a good umpire. If you're subscribed to wisetake.com, you will know if there's a good umpire. You will know. But if you're not, you might not. You know what I mean? Anyway, as far as the bats go, let's talk about some stacks. I think, what was it? The Yankees and Boston, I would assume, are going to be the most popular. I would think they're going to be the most popular. The Yankees get Noah, and then, bullpen of Baltimore, which has kind of been chalky every time it's on the slate. And Toronto did well with it. The Yankees are banged up, so we'll have to see who's actually in the lineup. But even though they've been banged up, they've been still getting through and playing well. Now you're giving them a big park boost against a terrible bullpen. I do think the Yankees will be chalk. Going to be tough chalk to fade, but maybe the lineup, depending on how ugly it ends up getting, lowers some of their ownership. We'll have to see. Boston against Montgomery, and they've been hot, so they might get a slight edge here. People might play them. They're at home too, still in a good hitter's park. They're obviously very expensive. The guys you would want, if you're doing a 5-man of the studs, so to speak, Devers, Betts, Bogarts, Benintendi, and Martinez, all very, very expensive. But they do have some guys you can take a shot on that are a little cheaper. Mr. Chavez, his name is Chavez. We've got JBJ. I know it's a lefty, but it's a lefty that, if the stack works, won't be in very long. So certainly options. But those two offenses should be the most popular. Looking for maybe like a lower owned potential pivot. I do think like park-wise, it's not necessarily not necessarily. Park-wise, it's not comparable. But I do think that Milwaukee is kind of interesting against this Agrizal guy. Like, he's not getting bombed. Well, he's starting to give up home runs. Like, he's just not good, this guy. And he escaped a couple times against bad offenses. And, like, now we're starting to see the true him. 3 home runs against the Mets, 2 home runs against Cincinnati. That's him. So I think Milwaukee, with all their lefties, I know their offense has been a little weird lately, but a lot of lefties there. Rivalry type game. Let's go. I think the Brewers, as a low-owned stack, are very interesting. And then the other team I'll mention is the Royals. I'm sure they're cheap. Porcello sucks donkeys. 3 home runs against Tampa Bay. That was in Boston. Kansas City, they suck. But so does Porcello. That is my point. So, and Kansas City's probably really cheap, right? Like, I mean, not as cheap as they were the other day, but cheap enough. You can make things work. So, like, Alex Gordon, Dozier. Who else we got here? Merrifield. Got to do Merrifield, but I like to put him in the outfield. As you can see, you can make it work. Maybe go with, Cuthbert. Nicky Lopez, if you needed the cheap. I like that for some value. And Soler is just you kind of have to play him as a beast. So this is one example, but, 3,600, it's doable with decent pitching, But they're not as cheap as I was hoping they were. Either way, I think those offenses are pretty sneaky. There's others. We'll take a look at the Angels to get a park boost. Going up against Luis Castillo. The problem is they're going up against Luis Castillo. Similar situations, Cleveland's going up against Mike Minor. Cleveland has been pretty hot. I think if they can get to Mike Minor, they'll get into that bullpen, which has been atrocious. But Mike Minor's been throwing 100 pitches, so it's, you're going to get a lot of Mike Minor. You got to be confident they're going to get to him. So a lot of different situations we can go to, I think. At this point, going to do some top threes. Before I do that, going to remind everybody, if you haven't checked us out at wisetake.com, make sure you get over there. Come see what it is we do. Real quick, currently, if you are not subscribed to any All Sports package, we do have the NFL Season Pass out, the Early Owl Special, as we call it. I believe the promo code is NFL Early Owl 2019, but just to be sure, go to @wise_take on Twitter. Just look that up, twitter.com/@wise_take. If you don't have a Twitter and you just want to know the address, go look there. We have the promo up there, but you can get the full NFL season DFS pass for $99 instead of $149, which is going to be on September 1st. So get over there now. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, so top 3 pitchers is going to be Giolito. For me, I'm not going to say Charlie Moore. I do like Giolito more. I'll go Giolito. I will stay in that same game, go with Turnbull, assuming he's got a decent pitch count. And then I guess for now I'll go with John Sullen as like a play against the Cardinals more than anything else. Top 3 stacks. I'm going to go with like kind of the chalky first 2. I'll go with the Yankees. I'll go with Boston. And then I'll go with the Brewers, who I think are kind of interesting and could be sneaky. And the game is sandwiched between those other 2 chalkier ones, so kind of interesting. Dong Watch, home run time. Let's see. Scroll down a little bit. JD Martinez, 5,100. I know it's chalk, but I'm just doing that. What else we got here? Let's get C-Dick, assuming he plays, if Philly does the right thing and plays the man. But I'm going C-Dick, Corey Dickerson. Anthony Rizzo, 4K. Let's go. That's a really low price for Anthony Rizzo. I did not notice that. I understand it's Chris Bassett, who I think is a decent pitcher. But Bassett does struggle with lefties. Yeah, that was in Oakland. This is in Chicago. We're going to check the wind on that. The Cubs could be sneaky. But I like Rizzo as my 3rd pick. And that's going to do it for the First Look podcast. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want more of these. We do these covering main slates Monday through Friday. We do all kinds of DFS content on this channel. And of course, we also do some non-DFS stuff too. So come rock with us. Come rock with the White Steak Nation. It's a movement. Appreciate you. Yeah.